Hey guys, how's it going? It's Rust Belt Collector here, and today we are going to be doing well, I guess I'm just going to be answering your guys' questions, really. I've never done one of these before in the terms of like an actual video. So basically what I did is I asked you guys on YouTube, also over on Instagram, what questions you guys had for me about the channel, about my collection, about my customs, about really anything. And you guys gave me some really good responses, so I'm excited to get into this and answer the questions you guys had. This is just kind of in celebration for getting past 3,500 followers on Instagram, which I think I just went past 3,600, so that's awesome. Thank you guys so much for that. And also getting past like the 500, 600 subscriber mark on YouTube, which I never really expected it to get even that big, and it's gotten that big, and I really appreciate it. To all of you guys who have watched, subscribed, liked, commented, all that kind of stuff, I really do appreciate it. But anyways, these guys here aren't really even part of this video. Nobody asked questions about them, but I just kind of wanted to show them off just so that you guys had something to look at while I did the intro. Just a Halo Reach McFarlane figure, an Acid Rain space scientist, and a Marauders Task Force World War II US Army soldier. I love all these figures, but they're really not going to be featured in this video because there just wasn't any place to fit them in. So anyways, let's get to the first question. Now first off, I should just say I wrote down all these questions. I didn't write down who they were exactly from. So these are just going to be anonymous, but you guys will recognize your questions. I wrote down every single one of them, and I should get to all of them, so if you asked a question, it should be answered here. First off, someone asked, how old was I when I made my first legit custom? Being as most of the people doing customs have been swapping heads and doing Sharpie details since they were kids. That's basically me too. I've done customs in some form or another since I was a kid. I don't really know why, but like with Lego, with action figures, with models, I was always into customizing. Sharpie, super glue, adding little bits of plastic here and there. He fell over. You know, just doing all that kind of stuff. I was doing that from a very young age, so I don't really know how to answer that in terms of what qualifies as a legit custom. The earliest custom that I still have that I made as a kid is this Shadow Airborne. I think I featured him in my custom action figure collection review video. But this is the first one that I have that is like the earliest that I made. The other ones all either got thrown away, gotten rid of, or added into future customs. A lot of the time if I, did a custom and I wasn't happy with it later on, I would just like rip it apart and use its parts for a future custom. And that's just kind of the evolution of gaining experience. You do one and you're not happy with it later on because your skills advance, and then you're like, well, I could actually use this one that I'm not really happy with anymore to make a better one because my skills are better now. I still like to keep this guy around just because it's, it's a first custom. It's an early custom that I did, and it's a cool way to look back on like what I did as a kid and now where I'm able to, accomplish better customs now and just show like the progress of it all. The next question coming in is, what is my favorite Clone Trooper figure? Now, I'm qualifying this not as my favorite Clone Trooper, but as my favorite Clone Trooper figure, like what Clone Trooper was made into an action figure. And I'd have to say, as for figures, it would have to come down between these two here. This is the Spec Ops Clone Trooper. I forget what his exact name is, but he's a really awesome Clone Trooper. Very unique. I only have one of him. I really want to get more of this guy. Have a couple for like a squad or a small unit of them, because these are just such a unique and cool design. I love them. And also, I really love the simplicity of the 41st landing platform Clone Trooper. These guys are one of the few Clone Troopers that I'm actually trying to army build just because I love them. They're a gray Clone Trooper, and gray Clone Troopers for some reason just appeal to me. So that's why these two guys are my favorite currently. Although if any of you saw the live stream from Hasbro Pulse the other day, they announced that they are going to be making a 6-inch Kamino Security Clone Trooper from the Clone Wars Season 6. And I am so excited for that. That's actually my all-time favorite Clone Trooper design, I'm pretty sure. And so I never thought they'd make it into a figure because he appeared for like 5 seconds in the episode with Fives on Camino, and I was like, that is such a cool design, but they're never gonna make it, and they have. It's in the 6-inch Black Series line, but I collect both 3 3/4 and 6-inch, so I'm super happy for that. That probably will become my all-time favorite Clone Trooper figure, but I can't show it in this video, so these two are it. You know, these two here are currently my favorite Clone Trooper figures, but that's probably set to change soon. The next question asks, what has been my most ambitious custom to date? And that's an interesting question because I kind of feel like most of my customs challenge me in a new way each time I try and do a different one. But I think it's not really complete, but I'll give you guys a hint and I'll kind of show a little bit of it. I think that my most ambitious custom will be this right here. I've got a kit for 4 Republic Commandos in the 6-inch line, or like in the 6-inch scale, and I'm currently working on getting them primed and ready for some like base layer paint and everything, and then assembly. And these guys are a really complex custom. They are fully custom made. They're not based off of like a Hasbro figure or something. They're all 3D printed. So there's a lot of finishing that needs to be done with them, like trimming off excess plastic, sanding them, and that kind of thing. And so that really has made me learn a lot about how to make a really smooth custom and how to finish the plastic, make sure that it's all smooth. A lot of technical work goes into making these, and it's new ground for me. I haven't done anything this in depth yet, so it's more of a future event that this will be my most in-depth custom to date. The next question is, what company would be the best for making my favorite COD characters or Call of Duty characters? And honestly, I'm pretty happy with McFarlane so far with their Call of Duty action figures. Mainly in line 2 where they made Captain Price and the 2019 Ghost. Both of those figures are pretty solid and they kind of fulfill everything that I want in a Call of Duty figure. They're posable, really highly detailed in their sculpting, and so far I'm pretty happy with them. So my answer would just be if McFarlane continues to do them and maybe increases the number of characters they release per wave, then I'd be super happy with them and I really wouldn't have any complaints. Alternatively, there are some other companies that would do a fantastic job with them. Hasbro could make a Call of Duty line that was more in line with like the G.I. Joe figures they're currently making. I think they would do a fantastic job as well. But since the license is currently in the hands of McFarlane, and I really wouldn't want to see Hasbro trying to dip their fingers into too many pots, and then you'd see like quality decrease in either the G.I. Joe or the Star Wars lines, then I think it's best that there's diversity and that McFarlane handles Call of Duty. They're doing a good job with it so far. Another person asked if the Modern Warfare Captain Price and the new Modern Warfare Ghost heads were swappable, and the answer to that is maybe, most likely. I wasn't able to get them to swap over cleanly without more work than I really wanted to put into it. I didn't want to damage this figure, so I didn't go all in and do this. But the peg sizes appear to be the same, so theoretically you could take the peg from either Ghost or Price and put their heads on the different bodies. You could put Price on Ghost, or you could put Ghost on Price. There might be some modification you need to do after that, maybe some hot glue to fill in the void or something like that, but for the most part it seems like you could actually do just a straight head swap. They use the same peg size from what I can tell without going all in on these and actually like tearing them apart, because I really don't want to damage this Ghost figure. I kind of like it too much, so I hope that helps, and I would just say yeah, it's probably likely that you can do that. The next question asks, what was my first Star Wars The Black Series action figure? And I don't remember. I collected 3 3/4 forever, basically. That was what I grew up with, you know, and really they didn't really have Black Series back then. But if I remember correctly, I was in the store looking for some other figures, and I came across this guy. He must have been a return because he was just like thrown on top of a pile of other action figures at Walmart. And this isn't the exact one, I don't think. This is probably just generically one of the Black Series Stormtroopers I have. But I want to say this was the first one that I bought. I could be wrong, but just from memory, I think that this was the first one that I bought. My memory's really bad. I've been collecting for quite a while, so it may not have been this guy, and for the life of me, I can't remember. But definitely the Troopers got me into the line. I loved the 6-inch Stormtroopers and the 6-inch Clone Troopers. So regardless of whether or not this was the first one I bought, this was what kept me in the line and keeps me in the line still. I love the sculpting and the detail of their 6-inch Troopers. Someone asked if I would do a collection video on my Call of Duty Mega Construct collection, and I would if it weren't for the fact that I only have 3 Call of Duty figures in the Mega Construct line. I've got this one, which is Ghost, the newest release of the Ghost. I kind of customized him a little bit, added some pouches and stuff. But I have him, and then I have 2 identical Arctic Troopers that came with like the shipping containers, and I just bought those because they were on clearance. So there wouldn't really be much of a collection video. So that's the answer to that. I just don't have a collection that I could actually show for you guys. And it's really not a line that I want to get too far into. I like the individual characters. I picked up Ghost just because, you know, he's my favorite character, and I was doing the tutorials on how to make the custom Ghost and everything. But apart from that, I really just can't get into it. I basically pick up characters that I really like in the Mega Constructs line, and I don't focus on, you know, collecting sets or collecting an entire line or anything like that. So that's why I don't have a video like that yet. The next one is one that I've actually gotten a couple of times, and it is, when will I open up a P.O. box? And the question answer is, I don't really know. I know people do it. Toy Galaxy does it. JCC224 does it. I don't want to really like copy their style, but also people have been asking me, so it's like, I don't know. And also, I'd have to pay to open it. And with my post office, they make you pay to have a P.O. box for a set amount of time. And I just kind of was hesitant to do that because I'm a small channel. I have a bigger following on Instagram, but I'm still small, and I don't really expect anyone to send anything in. Like, in terms of like fan mail, I don't expect people to be sending like packages or anything, but you know, fan mail drawings, things like that. I would love to see that kind of stuff, but I'm also kind of hesitant to pay it and, you know, have that set up for a set amount of time if it's not going to be something that's used, and, you know, that sort of thing. So I will consider it, and maybe here in the future I'll just do it for like, you know, whatever their minimum amount of time is that I can pay for it, like a year or something like that. I think that's the minimum. And then we'll just see how it goes, do kind of a trial run on it. I don't know, it's surprising to me that so many people have asked about it, but at the same time I'm just kind of hesitant and reluctant to go down that route too early and make it seem like I'm just looking for people to send me stuff or something like that. I just don't want people to get the wrong idea. I hope that makes sense, but that's the answer to the couple of questions that I got regarding that. Someone else asked what a fair price is for a 6-inch custom action figure. Now, they didn't specify a particular line like the McFarlane figures, Hasbro Black Series, you know, whatever. Any 6-inch figure that's customized, I think it really depends on the level of customization, like what is being done to the figure, the quality of the customization, and the time that it takes to do the customization. For like a basic repaint, I really don't think you should pay that much for it. Like if you're, say you have like a plain Clone Trooper and you're getting him painted 501st colors or any Legion colors that are fairly straightforward. To me, something like that would run probably in like the $30 range. If it was just a repaint, you're not adding on any like holsters, ammo pouches, things like that. You're just repainting the figure. $30 seems pretty fair, especially from like a good quality customizer. It could go above that, and especially with like some of the more experienced customizers, I know that they will charge more than that because their quality is really good. And going below that price, I feel like, and maybe I don't know the market that well, but I feel like then you're dealing with maybe lower quality customization. The paint might not be sealed well. Maybe there's no weathering, something like that. So you kind of got to play it by ear. If you're going with like a full customization, like you're making a plain Clone Trooper into a commander, so you've got a pauldron, a comma, all those other added tidbits to make it really special, then you're probably looking at somewhere around you know, maybe like the 40 to 60 to 70, maybe $80 mark, in addition to the cost of the figure is what I'm talking about. And I think that's to be expected because if you're getting 3D parts, you're having to have pieces attached and painted and all that kind of stuff. That's a pretty fair price to me based on what I've seen in the community. I'm not saying that necessarily that's fair or not fair. I'm just saying that's like the general consensus when it comes to the work that's getting put into that. A good customizer is spending hours on your project, and so you're paying for their time, you're paying for their experience, and you're paying for their equipment, their paint, and all that kind of stuff. So when you look at it, when it's broken down into that, it doesn't seem really that high. So that's kind of how I would break it down. And my best advice to you is look on Instagram, or look wherever the customizer is posting his work, and look through his past work or his or her past work. If they're making quality work consistently and you really like their style, then maybe it's worth paying a little bit more to get a custom figure from them. Whereas if you don't really like their style, you kind of see some shoddy paint work, well then maybe don't go with them. Some really cool accounts that you can check out on Instagram that do amazing custom figures would be the Celestin, DTG Figures, Jay's Custom Figures, and SCR Picks. So there's a whole slew of those guys. I'll try to link some of them down in the description. You gotta check them out. They do amazing 6-inch scale figures. I know a whole bunch of people that do 3 3/4 inch customs, but since the question was about 6-inch, I'm just relating, the 6-inch customizers that I'm familiar with. The next person asks, what camera did I buy first? And that could relate to a couple different things. My first digital camera for photography was the Nikon D80. It's a really old now, kind of outdated. Okay, by figure. It's a really outdated camera now, but it was really solid back then. Worked wonders for me, and I eventually upgraded to the 3200, then the 5300. Then I switched over to the Sony a6000. This is a really fantastic mirrorless camera. This is the 50mm 1.8. I also film my YouTube videos, like this one right here, with a Sony a6000, a second one that I have, and I use a 18 to 55 zoom lens that comes with like the standard kit to film the videos. If you're on the market to find a good camera that suits you, I do recommend the Sony a6000. It's very user-friendly, but really just look on YouTube for different camera reviews and kind of get a feel for what's within your budget and what will produce a good quality image or video depending on what you want it for, and go from there. Right now, with today's technology, you really can't go wrong. It's all about getting a camera that you're comfortable with and then learning the settings, learning all of the different ins and outs of your particular camera, and not so much about, oh, is Nikon better, is Sony better, is Canon better. It's just more about the photographer behind the camera than what the camera is. Somebody else asks, if I made a Star Wars film, what would it be about? And I think I'd have to go with a film that's kind of relating to the troopers. Whether that's like following a stormtrooper unit in a similar respect to like Saving Private Ryan or something like that. I'd also enjoy a clone trooper video. I'd also enjoy a clone trooper movie about like something similar. Anything that really kind of dives into the war and like the motivations behind it. Similar to Rogue One. Like Rogue One was the first real like gritty war movie that Star Wars ever made, and that's kind of what I like. I like that storytelling. I love the grander scheme of things. Like I love the trilogies where it's, the grand plot of the galaxy, the fight versus good and evil. But I also like the individual stories, the stories of like what an individual or a group of individuals is experiencing during difficult times, whether that's in the real world or whether that's in like a made-up world. So yeah, definitely a war movie of some kind, probably relating to stormtroopers or clone troopers because I like them the best. Someone else asked, when did I first start toy photography? And I started my Instagram account in 2015, I think August of 2015. Originally it was all Lego and like Lego builds and stuff, and then I started switching over to action figures. The toy photography kind of just evolved somewhere in there, and I've deleted a lot of my older posts on Instagram just because I wanted to at some point and decided to delete them. Don't know, but So somewhere in there, the toy photography slowly kind of evolved out of it, and eventually that's basically all I do now. So yeah, 2015 is when I started the account on Instagram, but you know, I've kind of gone in and out of toy photography. I've done photography in general for a very, very long time, probably before 2015 even. So as far as my skills in photography, I've learned them over a long period of time. Toy photography in general, more recently, maybe like 2016, 2017, somewhere in there, and then on and off up until recently. Who do I think is most overrated in Star Wars? That is an interesting question. And it's kind of a difficult one. I think that there's quite a few characters who are kind of overplayed, maybe. Like Boba Fett. He is a character that didn't really do anything in the show, or in the movies, rather. He kind of got an expanded universe character, but if you're talking exclusively the movies, he was kind of not doing anything. And so he hit fan success because he was a cool guy in armor, but that was really it for a while. So he's kind of overrated. I like him, but he's overrated. So he'd probably be one. I also think that people, probably out of nostalgia, are like, oh, Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, Han Solo, and they kind of forget some of the background characters. But that's to be expected. They're the main characters, so people are supposed to like them. So it's hard to say like that person's overrated, that person's overrated. But I will say one person who, or one character, not person. I don't mind any of the actors. It's you know, the writing and the design of the character. It's not the actors at all. But the character of Rey is, I don't want to say overrated, but nothing ever really happens to her. Like, she's a character that is good at everything, is, you know, automatically has all the skills that she needs in any situation. She has really no character arc. If you look at the story of Luke Skywalker, it's the hero's journey of someone who is, you know, a farmer or like a low person, and then they experience challenges and adversity that increases their skills as they like gain confidence, and they go through these trials and tribulations that define their character more and more, and that develops the character over time until they reach the hero status. So, you know, farm boy Luke on Tatooine is not Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker. So there's a development between those two things, whereas you don't really see that with Rey. It's just like, I'm a Jedi, and that's it. I'm a Jedi, and that's not that good of a character development, in my opinion. You guys are welcome to disagree with me, but I kind of feel like maybe Rey and Boba Fett are the most overrated. I still like aspects of both characters, but I just feel like they're overrated, you know? Maybe you disagree with me down in the comments and we can have a huge internet battle, but I hope not. I would like to avoid that. But anyways, that's my opinion. Someone else asked what my first Star Wars custom was, and I don't remember. Like I talked about with this Airborne, this is probably one of the first ones that I did, but as far as the first, I don't know. It was probably a Lego guy of some kind. It was probably terrible, and I definitely don't have it anymore. So, yeah, we'll just call this guy my first custom. There are a lot of questions in this video, and so if you've made it this far, thank you so much. And if you haven't, well, you won't hear this message. So, yeah, but I'm going to try and go through these rather quickly if I can and answer them to the best of my ability. How did I get my 6-inch custom Mud Troopers to look so screen accurate? And I take that as a high compliment, first of all, so thank you very much for liking what I did with these guys. And the answer to that is really just, I experimented with a sponge and some gray paint, just kind of blotting it onto the figure and then weathering away the paint in certain areas, like along these ridges on the chest plate, across the shoulder, on his armor, on his forehead there. Various techniques like that to just get it looking weathered and worn out. I looked at a lot of reference photos from the movie, the Solo movie, and that helped a bunch as well, and then I just tried to kind of mimic that. I didn't really weather the Mud Troopers, like the proper Mud Troopers, the Han Solo character figure. I just kind of added a little bit of gray paint to his boots and stuff, so I assumed that when you asked about the screen accurate Mud Troopers, you meant this guy, since I didn't really do anything to the other figures. But yeah, it's just a matter of like smudging paint on and then getting it off of the high rises on the armor. That just kind of makes it look like it's been lived in and worn, and as it's been caked with mud, some areas just get scraped away as he's moving around and living. And yeah, I don't know, that might not be a good explanation, but that's kind of just been my process with how I weathered these guys. I have a bunch of them, and it was a pain to weather all of them, I will tell you that much. But yeah, hopefully that's helpful. Someone else asked, why was Rogue One my favorite Star Wars movie? This is from a poll that was on my Instagram a while back, and someone asked me what my favorite Star Wars was, and I said Rogue One. And that's just because it's a really good, gritty movie with like modern visual effects, but that feels exactly, like to me at least, it feels just like watching A New Hope again. It's got a lot of the same, just the feel of it, I guess, is just so much like that classic gritty, down-to-earth action, no flips and tricks with the Jedi, very grounded in reality, and it has a good storyline. I like the characters. They probably could have been fleshed out a little bit better, but I still love them. I love the dynamic between them, and the story is just, it's simple and it's compelling, and I don't know, I love everything about it. I do love the other Star Wars movies. I love A New Hope. I love Empire Strikes Back. They're really good as well. But Rogue One just stands out to me both visually and story-wise as the best Star Wars movie, in my opinion. Someone else asked, which 3 3/4 inch unit is my favorite? I assume he means Clone Trooper or Stormtrooper unit, and I would have to say the 41st Landing Platform Clone Trooper. He is by far my favorite 3 3/4 inch Clone Trooper unit, and I really want to army build this guy. He is spectacular. Good articulation, the design is just so simple and so cool. I mean, it's a gray Clone Trooper. What's not to like about this guy? And yeah, this is definitely my favorite. He basically has almost no role in the movie. We never see him again, just kind of like a little background character. But they made figures of this guy. In fact, they made 3. The Commander, this guy, and the Battle Pack version where he's got less articulation and no paint on the back of his legs. But regardless, yeah, this is my favorite. I love this guy a lot, and I don't know. He's cool. I really need the sideshow of this guy. Like, of all the clone troopers that I've ever thought about getting in the 1/12 scale, this guy would be the one that I would get in like sideshow 12-inch scale. But I can't bring myself to pay that much for him yet. So maybe someday I will have a 1/12 scale this guy. Someone else asked, as a podcast host, do you nitpick other people's podcast work or do you just criticize your own work? And that's someone that knows me pretty well because I don't really do podcasting that much anymore, but I did before. And when I did, I've definitely, like, if I listen to a podcast, I'll definitely kind of think about their work critically. Like, are they good hosts? I'll think about sound quality and stuff like that. But I'm not really looking at it from a criticizing standpoint. I'm not really thinking about it in terms of, am I better than them? But definitely, I criticize my own work the harshest. I look back on old podcasts that I'm in and I'm like, why did I say that? That was dumb. I'm stupid. That was ridiculous. I think we all do that, but definitely I don't go around like criticizing other people's work like, you're terrible, you're dumb, you can't do podcasting, I'm better than you. I just don't do that. I look at my own work and I go, I need to improve that before I go around talking to other people and saying how bad they are. So yep, that's just my perspective on it. A question was asked about whether I would be reviewing the 6-inch McFarlane Call of Duty Ghost action figure. And if you're asking about that one back there, I already did that. He's up on the channel. If you're asking about this one here from my tutorial where I made a custom Ghost, that one right there, yes, I did a review of this guy right before I destroyed him, absolutely destroyed him. And I will be uploading that shortly after this video goes live. So probably my next review will be the earlier Modern Warfare 2 Call of Duty Ghost McFarlane action figure. A friend asked, and yes, I do know who asked this question. He's a cool guy, but also he asks very deep questions that I don't always have the best answers to. He asked, what film moves me in ways that I just can't explain? And that's a really good question. It's a tough one to answer spontaneously like this. I would have to say the Lord of the Rings trilogy is one that moves me in a lot of ways. I love that film series. I would have to say Schindler's List. That is a depressing yet important video. I think everyone should watch that. Very good. And that just makes you cry every time. Also, in terms of enjoy and like feeling, I don't know, just like lighthearted, positive emotions, perhaps, I would say things like Grand Budapest Hotel. I just enjoy that movie and it just makes me feel good. I guess it's hard to explain that in some ways, so that's another one that I really like. Off the top of my head, those are the ones that I could think of. I wish I could go more in depth with that, but a lot of times I forget how good movies are until I go back and rewatch them, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the best movie that I've ever seen. I need to watch this more often, and I just forget that when I'm recording a video or something and someone asks me. But yeah, so I'm actually curious what you guys think. What's your favorite movies? What movies do you guys watch that really do move you emotionally, whether it's feelings of joy or feelings of sadness or anything in between? I'd love to hear that down below in the comments. Someone else asked me to explain my photo taking process in 10 words. Um, 10 words is tough, but I would say I think about it a lot. I think about scenes that I maybe want to recreate or something like that. So I think about it. I then plan out how the shot is going to go, how I'm going to set it up, how I'm going to light it, things like that, what figures I'm going to use. Set up, photograph, photograph again because I messed something up, edit, write a caption, and then upload. That's 9, I think, but that's generally my process. Sometimes it differs from that, but that's usually how it goes. What is my favorite custom I have ever made? Right now, it is a tie between 2 that I've made recently. It's usually how it goes. Whatever my most recent custom is, that usually quickly becomes my favorite until I make another one. So that would be a tie, I suppose, between this guy, my latest Bandai kit custom, my custom commander, and an earlier 3 3/4 inch commander that I made a while back. I forget what this guy's name is. He has a name. He is a commander. He is cool. This is one of my favorite 3 3/4 inch customs that I ever made, and this is definitely one of my favorite 6-inch customs that I ever made. So it's probably a tie between these two in terms of which ones are my favorite. I am going to take these next 2 questions and combine them into one question and make it into a super omega question, and that is, how many figures do I have, and also, can we see my Imperial army? I'm gonna have to take the camera off the tripod for this one. So unfortunately I don't keep everything like on a shelf yet. I'm just not in a place where I can do that effectively. So this is like 6-inch figures here in this bottom drawer. I have others elsewhere that I have like set up for photos and things. So this isn't all of them, but this is most of them. The drawer above goes into my 3 3/4 inch Star Wars. So you can see here I've got Clone Troopers, Stormtroopers, Animated Clone Wars, my TVC hover tank, which I absolutely love. Just general characters that I have. The ever cool Quinlan Vos. So showing off the Imperial Army in either one of these scales would be difficult. But as far as how many figures do I have, a lot. There's this drawer, there's this drawer. This drawer is my non-Star Wars related figures, so I've got some G.I. Joe, I've got some Morphonauts, which I absolutely love, dinosaurs, random army dudes, yeah, there's lots in there. Then I keep all the accessories sorted out here, so when I'm taking a picture or I need something, I can just reach in and grab what I want from there. So yeah, it's more complicated than just showing you one area where like, here's my Imperial Army, here's my Star Wars Clone Troopers. As of right now, they're not displayed, but I do love them, and this is just the best way that I can store them right now. But it's very easy access for taking pictures. Back to the desk. Someone else asked what my favorite item in my collection was, and while that is a very difficult question to answer just because I like all of these figures for different reasons, I'd have to say just for its pure wackiness, this right here is actually my favorite thing in my collection. This is a bootleg clone trooper, probably made in Asia somewhere. It's like a weird upscaled 3 3/4 inch clone trooper figure like the Commander Doom mold, but it's painted like Commander Cody and it's got a light in its chest that lights up if you push the button on the back. I made a couple bootleg videos about this on my channel. You can go back and look at the bootleg playlist where I showcase all sorts of goofy bootlegs that I have, but this one is by far my favorite. And I'm not going to take him out of the package probably ever because I just like having him in this nice, goofy Black Series packaging with the Force Awakens as the branding on this. It's just too perfect. It's too wacky, and that's why it's my favorite. Someone else asked, what inspired me to make a custom collection, and in parentheses, a big one at that. I don't know if my collection is big. It is what it is. I'm sure people have much, much larger collections than I do, judging by what I've seen on like Instagram and Facebook. But for me, I've just always enjoyed making my own characters. Even as a kid, you know, playing Lego and playing Star Wars action figures, I always made my own characters. I always customized them. And it was just my way of being creative, inserting my own stories and characters into the world of Star Wars, the world of Halo, the world of you fill in the blank with all of my different interests growing up. And that just has naturally evolved into being more of an adult now, being able to make better quality customs now. I feel like I can actually bring my characters to life a lot more, and so it's just been a fun creative outlet for me. And I do it as a hobby, I enjoy it, and you know, hopefully everyone else enjoys it too when I post long stories on Instagram about this character and his adventures and whatever. So that's really it. I just enjoy it, and I enjoy the creativity behind it. To go along with that, someone asked if I ever sell my customs, and the answer is sometimes. I have sold customs in the past. I've also done commissions. If someone messages me and they have a custom that I think I can do and I can fit it in with my schedule, then I will do it and, you know, make a little money off of that. And if I can't, then I will just point them in the direction of other customizers that I know are good quality workers. And I've sold some customs on eBay. I've, you know, sold customs that I just am tired of and I don't want them anymore, and I'll pass them on as well. So yeah, it just depends. Someone else was wondering about my opinion on new figures with the new Clone Wars being released. If they release new figures, would I prefer them be in a new sculpt or in like the old like 2010 Clone Wars sculpt? And honestly, I would say if the new sculpt was better than the current TVC Clone Trooper sculpt, I would want a new one because that skinny Clone Trooper sculpt is terrible. And if it was similar to the 2010 animated clones, I'd be all for that because those were really awesome. They're really iconic for the time in terms of like an animated action figure that just really encapsulated the look of the show. I'd be all for that. I'm okay if they went back, but they almost certainly would not go back. They'd make something new. They'd probably make it in a realistic style as well, which I would be okay with again if they upgrade from the current TVC figure line, which I don't think that they will do. If you saw the new release of the Commander Wolf figure, they just used the old Commander Thorn sculpt, and that was a pretty poor choice in my opinion. I still pre-ordered it though because it's a clone trooper, but I didn't really want to encourage them with using really old, terrible molds. But what can you do? This next question is a bit curious. I'm not really sure if I understand it correctly, but he was asking what brand I use for my figures and if he's referring to my customs. That just all depends. Like this guy here is a Bandai kit. Those are made over in Japan. This is a McFarlane figure. That there is just your standard Hasbro figure. And I've made customs with all sorts of action figures. I mix and match parts from different ones. I've even had clearanced out like Fortnite figures and stuff. I've taken those and I've used their parts to make a Star Wars figure or something like that. So really, I don't have a specific brand that I'm like, this is what I want. I do love Hasbro with their like licensed line, but for my customs, any line works. I've used Halo armor bits on Star Wars figures, Star Wars armor bits on Halo figures, you know, you name it, I've mixed and matched it. So I can't really give a specific answer to that. And oh, this is the $1,000,000 question. Will I ever do stop motions? I would love to. I just don't have the patience to do that. I probably could maybe get back into it. I've done it before. I know how to. I could make armatures and all that kind of stuff to get the posing right. But it's mainly just the question of time and patience. I don't have the time or the patience to edit and do all that work on thousands of pictures, thousands and thousands of pictures, to add the effects, to erase wires and stuff, and then to put it together with sound, music, all that stuff, and then upload it. I certainly could, but it's just not something that I really want to do. It's not like a goal of mine to accomplish. Although, stranger things have happened. So I'm not ruling it out, but I'm just saying it's very, very unlikely that I will do stop motions. The next question is a good one, and the person asking was wondering, what customs do I have planned for the future? Well, I would say I don't really have a plan. I don't have a roadmap of what customs I will be looking to accomplish in the next year or even the next month. However, I know I am going to be doing these commandos. I've got 4 of them, like I said. The plan for these guys is to make my own squad. I could make Omega Squad or Delta Squad, but just the pressure of recreating an existing character, and also just kind of the lack of creativity in that. It's like, okay, you're making Boss, you're making Sev, you're making Scorch, but apart from planning out how to make them look like the characters, there's not a lot of creativity, and I really want to try and design my own characters. So that'll be the project with these kits. And then if you guys have been following my Instagram, you've seen me posting pictures of this unit that I made, the 81st Battalion, 333rd Legion Clone Troopers. I've got the commander, this is the lieutenant. I made 2 regular clone troopers as well. And I plan to just grow out this unit. I plan to make a Jedi Master, a Jedi Padawan to go with this unit. Also, I plan to make a heavy unit, like a clone trooper heavy from Battlefront 2, probably a sniper class, and just some other units to kind of fill out this battalion and have them be interesting, unique, make some named characters, make some general infantry, things like that, just to make it more interesting and to add some flair when I'm taking pictures of them. I don't always want to focus on a named character. I want to have some generic characters to kind of fill out the background as well. So that and the commando unit, those will be my 2 big projects coming up. Apart from that, we'll just have to see. I've gotten a couple commission requests that I probably will be taking, and those will take some time as well, just depending on how in-depth I need to go on those. So that's kind of where I'm at right now for at least the next couple of months, and it definitely depends on how easy it is to get these Bandai kits, because you guys probably know how difficult it is to get a Bandai kit, or just a plain clone trooper in general. I would love to have a lot more of these to work on my customs, but it's just hard to track them down. Alright, and we're getting to the tail end of questions. We got 2 more. This next one is, will I be shooting more Kashyyyk troopers soon? He really liked those pictures that I took before, which I appreciate. Thank you. Those were a lot of fun. I took them over on a riverbank near where I live, and I was able to set up like little wooden barricades and stuff, make it look very Kashyyyk-like. And I probably will take more of those sometime soon. The weather's been warming back up. After I took those pictures, we hit like a cold spell, and it was rainy, the river was high, and there was snow again, which was disgusting. That happens. And basically, I just didn't get back out there to take more pictures, but the weather has been warming up, the river has been going down, and I should be able to get back to the riverbank and take some more Kashyyyk pictures, because those are a lot of fun. And I do love having my Kashyyyk commander and, the Comic Pack 83 guys out there and taking pictures of those. So soon, sometime soon, I will get back to doing that. And for this last question, I just figured, well, why not just show off my rarest clone trooper that I own? Of all the characters, of all the action figures I own, this guy is probably the rarest, I would have to say. And he's pretty cool. Just, he's the Kashyyyk commander. I'd love to get so many more of these, but that probably will never happen. I'd love to get more of the troopers as well, just for the photos. But, you know, I'll be out taking pictures of this guy sometime soon along the riverbank, like I said. But anyways, this last question is, what are some of my favorite YouTube channels? And that's a tough question to answer in some respects. I watch a lot of different channels. So I'll kind of break this down a little bit. So toy-related channels that I like to watch. JCC2224, he was a huge influence in getting me back into collecting. Love his videos, love his channel, and I got to meet him once. He's a really cool guy. Sometimes we still talk online. And if you want to check out his channel, definitely do so. I will link it down below. I also watch a lot of The Fwoosh. The Fwoosh is a great resource for just like reviews of new releases, plus fun content to listen to. I enjoy listening to them. You can check out the Star Wars Time Show. That's a podcast that talks about Star Wars news. They also always have a featured section where they feature toy photography from the week, based on like who's been posting on the Instagram community. And they're really fun guys. They're awesome. They've actually shared my work multiple times. I appreciate them to death because of that. They're awesome. Again, link down in the description to as many of these as I can remember to edit in post, which is maybe none of them, but hopefully all of them. And yeah, I follow a lot of different toy-related content, so those are some of them. I've watched Jang Bricks on his Halo Mega Block and Lego series videos. He does good reviews. For general entertainment and randomness, I watch pretty much it. PewDiePie, of course, PewDiePie. I will watch Leon Lush. He's great. The Odd Ones Out. Curtis Connor is also a fun and goofy guy to listen to. I enjoy his videos a lot. You can also check out Olin Rogers. He's a hilarious skit and like story time vlog type YouTube creator. He's done a lot of videos. He's done a lot of stuff in like Hollywood. He made the show, he made Gary's Space, if you've ever watched that on TNT. He's a really awesome guy, stand-up creator, love his stuff, loved his stuff for a long time and was a huge inspiration to me growing up. So check out his stuff as well. And then on like the serious side of stuff, I don't want to get too deep on this video, but like I like to listen to a lot of philosophy and like debate type stuff. I really get into like moral questions and like the deeper side of life. So I've listened to a lot of the interviews on like the Joe Rogan podcast, which has led me down certain avenues with like books and other podcasts and other videos from the people that he has on. I like Inspiring Philosophy. I like Religion for Breakfast. Those are other YouTube channels you can check out. Yeah, any of those things where they just start going into like the question of morality, the meaning of life, that kind of stuff. I don't know, it's something that I love, and it's something that I love to ponder over and think on. And so a lot of good YouTube channels are out there that really try to bring clarity and kind of bring together resources from books and philosophers throughout the ages, you know, Aristotle, Plato, Thomas Aquinas, whoever you want to list off as some great philosopher. They try and bring those ideas and thoughts into it and, you know, answer those questions. So yeah, that's kind of just a general list. I mean, I'm subscribed to a lot of people and I watch random videos that come up in recommendations just like everybody. But that's just like a general feel for what I like to watch on an average day and probably watch for too much time, which is what, you know, we all do. We're all guilty of that. So anyways, guys, whew, that was a lot of questions. Hopefully you guys stuck it out to the end. If you did, thank you very much. If I somehow missed your question, I don't think I missed any, but if I did, I apologize. There were a lot, and I tried to do my best to record all of them, but if I missed it, I'm sorry. I'll try and get to it in like another Q&A video in the future. Once my channel hits 1,000 subscribers, YouTube lets you do like live streams and stuff. So I'll try and do live stream Q&As every now and then once my channel grows to that point. I don't know when that will be, you know, it's impossible to predict that really, but I will try and do that as soon as possible. As always, guys, there's a link down in the description to my Instagram where I do toy photography, stuff, and updates on the channel, and I post memes sometimes to my story because what else is there to do? If you guys want to give a follow there, you can keep up with what's going on. Be sure to check out all the awesome creators that I tried to tag down below if I remember to do that. If not, just give them a quick search on Instagram or YouTube, and you'll probably find them. Like I said, thanks so much for the followers, the subscribers, all the support, guys. It really means a lot to me. I really appreciate it. This video was a lot of fun to make, so there definitely will be more like this in the future. But as always, thanks for watching, and I will catch you all in the next video.